World Series Grand Final live here from the NEC Arena at the Autosport Show. My name's Chris McCarthy. Katie Munnings is alongside me. Katie, we've had 4 months to get to this point. 76,000 entries from all around the world across 3 different platforms, PlayStation 4, Steam and Xbox. The top 2 from each platform are here. There's going to be one world champion at the end.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the best drivers in the world are here on this esport game. It's going to be an absolutely amazing competition. We saw the rallycross this morning. That was all down to grid positions and heats, but today it's a cumulative time, so it's literally down to these boys against the road. So fastest one wins.
That's it. Well, if you're a fan of rally, you'll know how the normal rally works, of course, cumulative times over stages. That's how half of this event is going to work. We're going to have 5 stages in total. The first 4 stages is going to be a cumulative time, and at the end of those 4 stages, the top 3 will go into the final stage. The bottom 3 will be eliminated. The last stage, we're going to reset the times completely. It's going to be a drag to the line. The drivers are going to go one by one on the final stage. So the driver third at the end of stage 4 will go first, and then second will go after that, and then the leader at the end of the 4 stages will go last. Their times will be reset, so it will be whoever is quickest in that final stage, and that final stage alone that picks up the World Series Grand Final title. Let's meet the drivers then, shall we? That's how it's going to work. It's going to be 5 different stages, as we said, at 5 different tracks, but we're going to talk you through who is going to be competing in this one. Let's go to pod number 1, which is stage left. That's going to be Juuna Pankinen from Finland. Let's give him a round of applause. Qualified through as only one of 2 drivers to come through on the Steam platform, and he was the Dirt 4 world champion as well. Robin Jonsson is alongside him. Let's give him a round of applause as well. He's qualified from Sweden. He was the vice champion on Dirt 4. Next to him, he's flown in all the way from Costa Rica. Jose Rodriguez it is, who is going to be alongside in pod number 3. He qualified on PlayStation 4 along with Robin. Then as you come past the commentary position to the right of us, it's Paul Beggin from France. Give him a round of applause. France have a very strong presence on the dirt rally game, and they'll be represented in here by Paul. And then it's your home favourite here at the Autosport, Dave Marshall. Give him a big round of applause. I'm sure many of you will be supporting him. He is in pod number 5. He is going to be in the purple car, and Lucas Mattia will be in the last pod. Lucas Mattia, will have a look at him. There he is now. Lucas Mattia will be in the black car. So Juuna Pankinen will be in the red car, Robin in the blue car, Jose Rodriguez in the yellow car, Paul in the green car, Dave in the purple car, and Lucas Mattia in the black car. Now, if you were here for Rallycross earlier, you would notice 2 of those drivers. We had Dave Marshall and Lucas Mattia in that. Dave Marshall finishing second in Rallycross earlier, so he's already taken a podium today. He'll be hoping to take another one. Lucas Mattia, bad luck for him in the final. He finished 5th, but of course, 4 drivers on this stage. This is the first time they're competing this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got obviously last year's champion in the Dirt Rally 4 Series is here, Juuna Pankinen, and we also had the runner-up as well from last year. So these guys have got experience. Obviously, there's a couple of guys that already competed on this stage today. Amazing atmosphere today, loads of spectators. So it's different pressure to competing at home in your living room, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. And for those of you who can hear us around the hall but can't see us, we're in hall number 1, of course. Motorsport Game Stage is where you need to be to come and watch the action. Right, let's take a look at some of the highlights. We had the quarter and semi-finals. That's how these 6 drivers got here, via the quarter and semi-finals back in December. Let's have a look at some of the highlights from those, because I think it gave us a good taste as to what we can expect in this final. Only 6 drivers came through from the 36 that took part in those quarter and semi-finals. One of the stages that we used there, of course, the Monaco stage, we are going to be seeing today as well. That kicked us off in the quarter and semi-finals as well, didn't it? And that was great.
Yeah, the R2 car, but this time they were out with the Polo R5. So here's a taste of the highlights that we saw from last time.
Yeah, we're going to be using the VW Polo GTI R5, the car we're going to be using. And Katie, you've actually had a passenger ride.
Yeah, so I mean, they are just... Yeah, I have been out in the Polo on gravel, Sweetland. For any rally fans out there will know that's quite a famous complex, always part of the Wales Rally GB as well. With a Russian driver, I went out on a passenger ride at the end of last year. Absolute weapon of a car, absolutely absolutely incredible. You know, the speed, the suspension,
Well,
you can pretty much do whatever you want it to do instantly.
Just
It is a
about
little
keeping
pocket
it straight.
rocket.
Yeah, four-wheel drive car,
dropped away, but I
272
think the
brake
first four
horsepower.
have
The
stayed
quarter
all
and
fairly
semi-finals, we
close
used
together,
different
and
cars in these
Hank
stages. This
Gap
one we're going to back to the
used
same one.
Gio
There was some
Gomez.
spin,
got a
there
spin.
was some big
Just
jumps, and
over
if
a
you're
second.
one of those
Kind
that
of gravel
spun,
when it's so boggy, you really need to
were
really
eliminated.
hit
It
the
was a
car,
brutal
otherwise it
format,
is just
as is
fighting
with the
once
Dirt
to finish
Rally
line.
2.0
We
World
saw
Series,
Gio
and
Gomez
those
have
who
a
have been
spin,
the most
and that's
consistent,
really
kept out of
Zombie
trouble,
Slayer
and been the
will
bravest
lead
on
us
track going over
at
jumps
that
like that one,
moment.
have
Has
qualified
gone to
for the
lead.
final.
game
So
over
that
at
is
the end
what
of
we
the
can
rally.
expect
they
today.
don't.
It's going to be
Zombie Slayer
absolutely
doesn't exactly
fantastic
You're not
as
going
we look
fast
back
enough.
at some of the highlights.
And you have to
from
remember,
the
these drivers have no
quarterfinals
indication of
and
where the other guys are.
Over the crest we go. Zombie Slayer
The top
just
three
a
go
hairpin
through
to go
to that
now.
last
Round the
leg.
right
I guess
hand,
it's just
currently
about
hold the
getting into
final
that
two
top three,
spaces
isn't it? Then you
in
have to
the
go
grand final.
Yeah, I
Can
mean, this
they
really
now
is like a
hold
real
on to
rally.
it?
It's consistency. You know, it's
see
when
if
do
that
I
happens
attack?
here.
When do I
Dave
push?
Marshall
Because
couldn't get
every
out his
second
car.
counts in this. You know, if they make a mistake on one stage, they then carry that through the rest of the competition. So they really need to make sure they're consistent across all four stages, which are very different conditions, to then be able to qualify to make it into the final.
Well, before we go any further, we're going to head down to World Rallycross commentator Andrew Coley, of course, was commentating for us earlier. He's going to be out there reporting for us today. He's down there with John Armstrong at the moment, who is the Codemasters rally driver.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, really looking forward to the finals here at Rally. Rallycross this morning was epic. And we know we've got, of course, P down here next to me, and the champion from last time. And this guy made the final, you know, some serious drivers. But this is a serious driver as well. This is John Armstrong, who's a games designer for Codemasters. But actually, John, you're a proper rally driver as well.
Yeah, that's it. I started out as a full-time rally driver, and I wanted to get into, World Rally Championship. And once I got up to that level, it was hard to keep the budget going. So I turned my attention more to video games, and I was always so interested in Dirt Rally. It was always felt the best game to play out of every rally game out there. And I just got in with the community, and eventually got offered a job. So it's a dream job, and every day I'm doing something different, and it's so much fun.
He's playing it down a little bit because he actually won a rally in Ireland this year on his first attempt in a World Rally car, so he's very, very good indeed. Tell us about the development side of it. What do you do to make these cars feel like they feel in real life?
Yeah, it's so tricky, to get the game or to get the cars to feel realistic in the game. We have to get as much data as we can from the teams and manufacturers. We have to develop the tire model to rotate right in gravel, just like you were saying earlier. And it's constant iteration with me and Ryan Champion and the car handling team to get the cars to feel good. And then like the locations and everything, we send a research crew out there. They take thousands of pictures, and they recreate it in game. And you have to say it looks incredible. But yeah, day in, day out, I've got lots of different tasks. I work in the design team, and we determine what's going to be in the game, what cars, what locations, what game modes, and I'm always learning. It's proper interesting.
And just very quickly, tell us a little bit about the stages these guys are facing.
Yeah, there's a good selection of stages. We've got every surface that there is in the game. We've got snow, we've got Monte Carlo, which is tarmac with snow sections, and then we've got gravel. Like Australia, it's pretty loose gravel. Sweden, you're going to be using the snow banks to brush against it to carry speed. And then in Germany, you got to watch out for them Hinkelsteins so you don't wreck the car.
Fantastic. So much action to come on the stages. We'll head back to the desk and get things underway.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, we couldn't get a better insight there from John, of course, from Codemasters rally driver as well. Of course, Katie, you're a rally driver yourself. Tell us how these guys are going to be feeling now, lining up, getting ready for that first stage.
Yeah, I think nerves. You can never beat the feeling of competition and that kind of anticipation. They look pretty calm though, looking around. They look like they know what they're doing. A few of them have done it before, but I think it's just about staying cool. I always perform best when I'm confident and calm, and I think it will be the same for these guys.
Well, they're going to be nervous. Thank you to the big crowd around here at the NEC. Thank you all for joining us. We're almost ready to go. We're just going to have a very quick look at the entry list before we do that. We'll bring that up on screen for you now so you know who is where and who has won each car as well. So Una Pankinen is going to be be on pod 1, which is stage left. He is going to be in the red car. Robin Johnson is going to be in the blue car. Jose Rodriguez from Costa Rica is going to be in the yellow car. Paul Beggin will be in the green car. Dave Marshall in the purple. Lucas Mattia in the black car. Now, they're all going to set off together in the first 4 stages. Of course, all the cars will be ghosted, so they'll only be able to see themselves, but they're all going to set off together, so we'll be following them all at the same time. That will be different for the last stage, of course, but tell us a little bit about the first stage first. We're going to start off in Germany in Oberstein, so a little bit of a tough stage to get us underway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a rally for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. You know, there's long stages in that rally. I think Panzerplatte is the famous one. Goes through the military base, that's 41 kilometres. We're running a stage that's a little bit more different, but they've still got to think about these hingle stones. You know, these are the big bollards that are the side of the road, not that far from where you can kind of take a little bit of a cut on the grass, but at the same time, if you hit one of them, they are completely car wrecking. You know, we've seen it with Solberg, we've seen it with so many drivers in the past. It's about being on the limit, but not going over it.
Well, we'll have another more detailed look at Oberstein for you in just a second. That's going to kick us off, and then we'll go to Sweden after that before going to Argentina, which is probably the one I'm looking forward to most, actually. That's going to be really tough. Then to Monaco, and we're going to end in Australia. So we'll bring that up for you in just a second, tell you a little bit more details for those of you who don't know about the Oberstein stage, what the guys are going to be up against. Big prize money as well. We'll get to that in just a second, but here it is. So we're going to start off in Germany, 7.25 miles, quite a long stage to get us underway, around 5.5 minutes we expect in total. Big elevation changes as well, and a long stage to get us underway. That's going to be tough, isn't it? I'm sure some of the drivers would hope for a nice short stage just to settle the nerves.
Yeah, I mean, throwing them in at the deep end, but when you get in the zone, time passes like that. They're going to be so focused. I know a lot of the guys here have also opted not to see where they are in the positions. You know, there's a tracker, right. They're clearing that. They want maximum view of the road. They just want to see the conditions, where they can cut, where they've got to be careful, using every inch that they can.
Well, by form, we expect Una Pankinen and Robin Johnson down the right there in pod 1 and pod 2 in the red and blue cars to be fighting for the front here. However, of course, we had Dave Marshall from the UK in pod 5 finished second in the rallycross earlier, and then we had Lucas Mattia down the end. He also took part in the rallycross earlier, which I'm sure would have helped settle the nerves. But we're going to get right into it. Stage number 1, don't forget it's 5 stages. The first 4 stages will be a cumulative time. At the end of those 4 stages, the top 3 will then go through. Here we go then, give us a round of applause. Those top 6 are going to get us underway then for the grand final. Away we go. We're going to look at Una Pankinen first. Now there's going to be a lot of position changes at the start, but that should settle down just a little bit as we get towards the end of the stage. But Katie, we look back at the quarter and semi-finals, it was so close at times all the way to the end with just hundreds and tenths in it.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are constantly chasing the world records that are set on these games. They know where the limit is, they know how well they're doing. You know, everywhere they're going to know which gear to be in, where to push the brakes, where to change down gear, where to use the handbrake. They've practiced it so many times. Of course, they knew which rallies and which stages were going to be in the final here, so they have been practicing it. As you can see in this stage, it starts off quite narrow actually, quite tight, quite technical. You'll see it open up a little bit later. You go out of the trees, and then it's a bit more, you know, you can push a little bit harder because the road's wider. There's not so much to hit either side.
So in the VW Polo tarmac stage to get us underway, dry conditions as well. This pretty fast stage, do look out for the tight chicanes throughout. You can cut corners in places, but you've got to be careful in others with those rocks that are on the exits and on the inside of the corners as well. Let's go on board with Paul Beggin. Katie, I'll hand it over to you to talk us a little bit through the stage.
Yeah, using every inch of the road as you can see, but here you can see it's opening up a little bit, but still those hinkle stones, you just caught a glimpse of them on the right hand side back there. You don't want to hit them. Of course these drivers are going to know where they are. He knows he can cut a little bit on the inside there. They're also going to have the pace notes that are read to them as well, but to be honest I think they're going to have practiced this so much they're not really going to need it.
Well, to talk you through, guys watching on the stream and around the stage, the positions are to the top right of your screen, and on the left the dots with the drivers' names next to them is where they currently are on the stage. Of course they all got set up at the same time. That looks like one black dot to me, which means they're pretty much all in exactly the same place. So Una Pankinen it is who leads. Robin Johnson in second place, of course he's in the blue car, we're watching him now. Paul Beggin is in third place in the green car, and we're going to go on board with him now. Then it's the British driver Dave Marshall in fourth place. He now jumps up to third place. Cumulative times, as we said though, for the first 4 stages, so it's just about keeping it so. Oh well, there we go. talk about corner cutting.
Yeah, I mean, he knew that. Normally there's some rules in rally, you know, it's a car width apart. Was that more than a car width? I'm not sure.
I think
you
so,
know,
yeah.
With those rules on cutting, just so you don't straight line everything. Different rallies, different rules, but sometimes you do have to have two wheels on the road at the same time.
So when we have the position highlighted, that means we are on board with that driver. So the red square around the first position at the top right hand of your screens means we are on board with Una Pankinen, who is in the red livery car and pushing very hard. Paul Begg in second, Dave Marshall third, Robin Johnson is in fourth, then it's Jose Rodriguez from Costa Rica in fifth. Lucas Mattia is in sixth place at the moment, but Una Pankinen settled into this one nicely as we get now halfway through the stage.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see there's little specks of gravel out there as well. It's actually not uncommon during Rally Germany, especially on the recce, to pick up punches from bullets, the little bullets that are used in the military testing ground. So that's not uncommon at all. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in this rally, but a chicane in there to slow down. You can see it's getting faster now, but typical German roads out there, a brace of tarmac, bits of gravel to catch them out. Obviously there's going to be less grip on the gravel, but these guys are going to know it, they're going to avoid it, which sometimes means you can't use the full racing line. You know, you can't stay out as wide as you'd want to straight line the corner, because the grip's just not there on that looser surface.
Well, we go on board with Britain's Dave Marshall at the moment. He is currently in second place, so a good start for him. He's the only British driver in this, so I'm sure he's going to have a lot of support around. We have a Finnish driver in Una Pankinen, the Swede Robin Johnson, French driver Paul Beggin. We've got Dave Marshall, of course, and the Czech driver Lucas Mattia. So 6 different nations represented in the final, which is great to see. Una Pankinen was telling us earlier he's had to cut down the amount of time he's been able to practice in the last few weeks because he's joined the military service over in Finland. So Una Pankinen may be down on practice, but he's definitely not down on pace. Leading the way at the moment, Paul Beggin then we go on board with. He's currently in third place. That's all where he needs to be by the end of stage 4 to get through to the final stage.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up to the last quarter of this now, and there's still not a lot of separation in those dots. You can see at the sides of the screen there on the left. They're all still in one clump, aren't they? Nobody's really having any dramas at this stage, but I would also say pretty predictable conditions. You know, Germany, dry, I'd say that's kind of quite standard, so it'll be interesting to see what they throw at us for the next rounds.
Well, if those of you think I could probably do this, you can have a go on Dirt Rally behind the stage in the activation area, and you'll find out just how good these guys are. Seriously impressive stuff. Una Pankinen just clipping over the grass there. That's exactly what you need to do. Dave Marshall in second, Paul Beggin doing very well in third place. Solid run for him so far. Robin Johnson is fourth. Lucas Mattia actually bringing himself back into play now. He was in sixth for a long time, but he's now back up to fifth place.
Yeah. We're just hearing in, we've got Paul Beggin's got a 10-second penalty.
Paul Beggin, unfortunately, he's picked up a 10-second penalty for cutting corners, so that's going to be that's a huge disadvantage to him now. All you have to do is be in that top 3 at the end of stage 4. I know, as I keep saying it, you don't have to be in the lead. Unfortunately, whoa, there we go, Dave Marshall over the jump, but Paul Beggin may be in second for now, but he'll probably drop to 6th place at the end. Oh, and Dave Marshall, oh no, almost a spin. Well, he's right-hander coming up there. Dave Marshall just about keeping it under control.
A full send, wasn't it?
You got to send it, ain't you? Dave Marshall in third place at the moment, but Una Pankinen, it is who's leading. We're coming up to the final part of the stage now, and I think stage 1 here at Oberstein in Germany is going to go to Una Pankinen. Across the line we go. There we go. Round of applause, everybody. Una Pankinen it is who takes stage 1 victory across the line. Brilliant stuff. There we can see it will be Dave Marshall in second, Robin Johnson in third, Lucas Mattia in fourth, and then Jose Rodriguez in fifth, of course, with that penalty going to Paul Beggin. Well, first stage done, but that was on the tarmac in dry conditions. Don't forget, we're going to have different surfaces and different conditions as we go through the next 4 stages.
Yeah, I mean, dramas as well. You know, penalties, cutting's always an issue. You never really know, you know, what's the limit with it. It's quite a subjective one, but obviously stewards' decisions final, but a long way to go still.
Yeah, we still have a long way to go. In fact, after this, we're going to be going to Sweden, where we're going to be in the snow. So it's going to be very, very different conditions. But for now, we're going to go down to Andrew Coley.
Yeah, I'm here with Una Pankinen, who of course was the Dirt 4 World Champion last year, and that's a decent start to your rally defence there, Una, but you've been a bit short on practice recently.
Exactly, yeah. I started my military service this week, so I'm at best like 5 hours practice at home. But I'm feeling very confident here, and you know, I did win the first stage, now I have to win the rest.
Only a couple of seconds between you and the guys in second, third and fourth, so this is going to be close, but you're feeling it?
Yeah, it will be tight for sure, but I'll try to take it home once again.
He's looking for the second big trophy. This year with a new haircut, though. This is a Finnish military haircut, if you're wondering. He's still looking pretty cool.
I think Andrew Coley's probably in the Finnish military as
Yeah,
well,
I was
isn't
going
he?
to say,
He
you're
looks
matching over
exactly
there.
the same. There we go. Something he's not telling us. But there we go. We're going to get the results up for you in just a second. For those of you around, we're going to get into the second stage very, very shortly, which is going to be the Alogasion. I think that's how we pronounce it. The sprint as well. So a shorter stage, but in the snow. So that's going to be completely different conditions, isn't it? We're going from tarmac dry to snow.
Yeah, obviously the drivers will have the studded tyre for that. So, I would compare snow driving to gravel, but with more grip. It's consistent as well. We're going to come on to Monte Carlo later, where there is, the choice, do you go slick, do you go studded tyre? There are some tarmac sections, but here in Sweden, full snow, conditions are going to be predictable. It's just about the light, really. Sometimes it's quite difficult to see, that white blindness. You see some of the drivers wearing those goggles where you can, the orange tinted goggles,
yes,
so you can try and see a bit more. But rally coming up in a few weeks' time, so I'm sure that some of the drivers, I've spoken to some of the drivers in the championship, and they actually use this game to practice for the actual event.
And on this stage we're going to in Sweden, it's a lot of 3-4 grade corners. So, of course, in the snow they become a lot harder to drive in, don't they? And not only that, we have the banks on the side of the track as well. You can use those at times, but it's very easy. If you hit one of those, you can end up rolling the car.
Yeah, it's kind of local knowledge, really. You can use them as an eye line. You can see quite far back the angle of the corner, where it's going to tighten, where it's going to open. So you can use that to judge your speed, but also your racing line. But on the other side of it is you can also use them, as John was saying earlier, you can kind of lean on them to carry that speed. If you're lucky, they don't suck you in, but if you hit it too hard, then it can, be detrimental, pellet you off, and you can actually be stuck in the snow. So all the drivers will also carry a shovel in the back of their cars, but these guys are going to hope they're not going to need it today.
Well, that's the first stage completed, of course, the first of 4, and after that, the top 3 will go through. The bottom 3 will be eliminated from the competition. So let's get the results up for you in just a second. Of course, what are they fighting for? It's going to be $2,500 that goes to the winner, $1,500 to second, $1,000 goes to third place. They're all going to leave with a Giorgio Piola watch, though. The G5 automatic to the winner, Strat 3s for second and third, and the Schiff chronograph for fourth, fifth, and sixth. Which not bad, is it? A watch and some money?
They're pretty nice. I was having a look backstage a minute ago at the watches. I could do with one of them.
Well, I actually heard one went missing.
Oh, really?
So there we go. I think Katie's just...
I reckon that might be Andrew Coley.
She's just admitted to stealing it. Yeah, if Andrew's walking around with a new watch, then I think we know what's happened there. But great prizes, and it just shows how much esports is developing. Yeah,
I mean, it's an amazing championship. We saw even Mattias Edilson, he got through to the quarterfinals. He's Swedish national rally champion. Yesterday I saw on his Instagram, he was testing in Sweden in a Skoda, very similar to the stages that we're going to see in a minute. So, this is practical. This is real life stuff now. You're converting these skills that you're learning on esports, and these guys, looking for drives in real cars as well. It's a great way to practice.
And tell us what these guys now must be feeling after this. If you're Joona Pankinen and you're in the lead, I imagine that settles the nerves, but what about if you're Lucas Mattia and you've picked up a penalty?
Well, I mean, a long way still to go. I think the penalties, is 10 seconds. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's not a lot. If there's an accident, if there's a spin, that's 10 seconds or more. So I think it's all still to play for, especially with the stages we've got coming up. They're not easy stages by any means. Argentina, Monaco, I think, will be one that separates them as well. But then we saw Monaco in the quarter and semi-finals as well. That time with the R2 car. This time with the R5 car, it's actually going to be a lot easier for these guys to handle. The suspension's better, it stops better on the brakes, but it's a lot more power to handle as well.
Yeah, great car, of course. Great stages. Argentina is my personal favourite. It's basically because it's the stage where I restart the most when I'm playing the game. Talking about the situation how the drivers are feeling, how hard is it if you're leading a rally? How hard is it to not get too complacent going into the next stage?
You always see it, sometimes it does come down to the last stage, or sometimes people can think, oh, I've done it, and relax a bit, and then those seconds get, knocked off their clock by the guy that's behind them that wants it that bit better. But I think these guys have, they're all really experienced. We had 76,000 applicants, I think it was, for this, and we've whistled it down to the top 6 now. This is the best of the best. Entering into this Swedish stage. Now you can see they've got snowing conditions today, so that's going to be a little bit difficult to see.
Yeah, well, we'll go into the next stage then. It is the Logosjon sprint stage in Sweden, and we are going to get this one underway. So stage 2 of 4 for the first part of this World Series Grand Final is underway, and we're going to go on board with our leader, Joona Pankkinen, and then there we can see straight away, Katie, there are those snowbanks. Visibility could be an issue in this as well with the snow falling, but it's those snowbanks that can be the most critical part of this stage.
Yeah, I think the organisers have eased us in with some dry tarmac in Germany, but definitely not giving it to us easy out here now in Sweden. You can see that kind of blindness that you can get from the glare of the snow as well, but these drivers would have practiced in all conditions as well. They would have prepared setups in all conditions. I was looking through earlier, I think we said that there was, on the rallycross, there was 3,000 possibilities of setup, you know, because they can change everything. They can change the brake bias, they can change the tyres, they can change the damping. There is so much that you can change in these cars. Obviously that gives the, you know, the teams in esports a bit of an advantage because they're able to use all of their drivers to test different setups to see what's fastest, and then they can share that information. But if you're coming in as an individual, of course you've got to do that on your own. But you have Joona Pankkinen down in second, and Dave Marshall, who came second in the rallycross earlier, is in first place at the minute.
Yep, Dave Marshall leading the way from the Finnish driver, Joona Pankkinen. Lucas Mattia, who's carrying a 10-second penalty, currently in third. We do have driver stewards backstage, including GT3 driver Will Tregurtha, so we are in good hands back there as well. We've got people in front of the stage as well that are judges of the facts, so we've got eyes in all places for this. It is a World Series Grand Final, and we treat it like that. Paul Beggin now, we go on board with the French driver, currently in 6th place in this stage at the moment. This is a much shorter one. It's less, they're going to go sub 3 minutes, we expect, around here. So around half the distance we had of that Oberstein stage in Germany, and we're already halfway through. Dave Marshall just about leading from Joona Pankkinen. Then it's Robin Jonsson, Jose Rodriguez, Lucas Mattia now fourth as we have a change. So Joona Pankkinen takes the lead. We're on board. We're looking, at Dave Marshall in the blue car. So we're looking at him at the moment. Jonsson just behind, then it's Rodriguez and Mattia next along.
You can see how they're just skimming that with the fresh snow flying off. I mean, the simulation here is incredible. I don't think it gets more real life than this. It is absolutely phenomenal, but it's so narrow as well. There is no room for error. They're still throwing it in sideways, but yeah, really no room for error, even more so than Germany now. It's such a narrow track, and if you go too hard into one of those snowbanks, I mean, look at these flying crests. They're absolutely phenomenal. You don't know where the road's going to go. They've got pace notes, they're listening to their pace notes, they've practiced it, but watching it as a spectator, this is really, really exciting racing now.
If you look to the left of your screen, in our first stage, the black dots which signify where the drivers are on the stage were all together. This is the first time we've seen a split, and Joona Pankkinen and Dave Marshall, I think it is, perhaps the top 3, in fact, top 4, have all broken away. It looks like Paul Beggin and Lucas Mattia have run into problems at places, but the top 4 very much still together. As Dave Marshall we're on board with, he's in second at the moment. Joona Pankkinen leading the way, as Joona Pankkinen was briefly in second there. Dave Marshall, I think, briefly took the lead. He's now dropping to third. Shows how close it is, but across the line, I think Dave Marshall may have just stole that one across the line, actually, and a big cheer from the British crowd here. Dave Marshall, brilliant stuff there. I think he may have just did it, or did he? Was it Joona Pankkinen who was, we'll get confirmation of that. It was that close. It looked like Dave Marshall did take it in. I think maybe Joona Pankkinen on confirmation may have. We'll get that up in just a second. But what did you find the biggest differences were there? I think we saw a little bit more in the spread of field with the snow.
Yeah, I mean, certainly towards the end of that, but I think I caught a glimpse of the results just as they flashed up there. I think it was only hundredths of a second separating the top 3 there, so that is going to be so close. You know, it's not down to positions, it's down to cumulative time here. So, yeah, we'll head over to Andrew and see what Dave made of that.
Yeah, we've had the times come up on screen here, and actually we think Dave's in P3, so looking at this, it's half a second, Dave, across the top 3, and you led for a lot of that stage.
I didn't know that because I got my times turned off, but I am pleased to get Sweden out the way. That's a stage where a lapse of concentration for one corner and the whole stage is gone, and might as well cancel your chances out. So pleased to be only half a second off.
And you switched off the times on screen, so you don't have any way to monitor where everyone is. Why? Do you find that too much of a distraction?
Yeah, any distractions, you know, get rid of it. That's a big distraction, so just try and tunnel vision it towards the TV and yeah, just concentrate on what you're doing.
Oh, well, good luck. And, of course, Dave's got a lot of support behind. I don't know if you can hear when he's got his headphones on, but that's a big distraction as well, the crowd support for Dave here. But well done. It's going to be super close.
Caught that at the end. Thank you very much, Andrew. We'll get the results for you up in just a second, as we are halfway through now the first 4 stages, which will then whittle us down to the final 3 drivers. And in that final stage, make sure you stay with us for that, whether you're watching on the live stream or around the stage, because the top 3 are going to be set off one at a time, with the person who was 3rd place at the end of stage 4 going first, and the person who led having the privilege of going last. Kate, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. If you were in that top 3, where would you prefer to go? Would you prefer to go last, or do you think that would maybe build up some nerves, or would you say going first is better because you don't really know what you're chasing?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are going to be going as fast as they can, and that's it, you know, full stop. There's not many tactics in it. It's not like rallycross where you have to think about grid positioning or, you know, joker laps. This is literally them against the clock. So from that sense, I don't think it matters too much. But in a way, you know, they know the records on these stages, and they've been working towards them. They may have even set them. So they're going to know by watching the others what the pace is like, how hot it is. At the same time, if they're really fast, it might be off-putting. But also, if you know that you're comfortably within that, it might give you that little confidence boost going into the final.
I'd say the top 4 are still very close together, aren't they? We believe, as you said, Paul Beggin, penalty for him, I think it was in the first stage, wasn't it? Lucas Mattia had a little bit of a bad one in that second one, just off the pack a little bit. But other than, I think Robin Johnson was maybe off as well. But other than that, it's all to play for.
Yeah, and as we say, you know, it's not just down to positions, it's the times that we're looking at. So when we get these times in, we can then really kind of analyse that and see how much time they've got to make up. I think the drivers will kind of know, you know as a driver, you can feel whether you're on it or if you're off it. It's just about turning it round. You know, if you're having a bad day, it's how quickly can you respond to it and make that time back up.
Well, we may only be on stage 2 of 5, but I'm sweating up here already. It's very, very tense up here. I imagine the drivers are even more than that as well. Hopefully we'll get those results up in just a second. But in the meantime, should we talk about where we're going to next? Argentina, Las Juntas. That is a very, very difficult stage, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to think about here. You know, it's things like you've got the elevation. You know, it's 1,000 foot, but in those rocky mountains, teams struggle with the engine and getting the power out of it. You know, when you go up the mountains, you lose the power because of the altitude and the air quality is reduced. So actually, it's all of these things that are simulated through the game as well. I wonder if the drivers will be able to feel the difference in the power from this polo, and how they manage that and how they make sure that they carry the momentum as well.
You couldn't put me in a passenger seat going around there. It is terrifying. Heavy gravel,
yeah.
Very, very bumpy as well. Tell us about how they're going to have to get around that in these cars.
Yeah, rugged mountains. I mean, we saw similar conditions in the semis and the quarterfinals. You know, they've had a bit of practice, not Argentina, but very similar surface with the big rocks. Punctures, of course, is another thing to think about. If they're cutting corners there, the chances are there's going to be massive rocks that you can get punctures from. So obviously they don't want to be hitting them.
Yeah, indeed. As well as that, of course, we've got the cliff edges as well. They're the very, very tight hairpins where you can easily clip a rock on the inside, but some of the hairpins, there's a cliff edge on the outside. So I think this is probably the stage where you can be punished the most, punished the heaviest with a mistake.
I was just about to say, I think we'll see a bit of separation in the pack now.
Right.
You know, a mistake can be costly. If you roll down the side of the mountain, you get reset. That's a penalty in itself. So I think the drivers are going to be on the edge, but I think it's also going to be the person that gets to the finish that actually has quite a good time here.
Well, let's have a look at the circuit then. Here it is, Argentina, Las Juntas. This is the stage we're going to be going on next. 5.13 in mile. Huge elevation change, over 1,000 feet as well. And going into this, it is Joona Pankkonen who is leading at the moment with 8 minutes 46. 3 seconds behind is then Dave Marshall. A second further back than that is Robin Johnson. On 8 minutes 53 is Jose Rodriguez. As we said, the top 4 split by just 7 seconds at the moment, but then there's 7 seconds back to Lucas Mattia in 5th. Paul Beggin carrying that 10-second penalty, currently in 6th. But here we go. It is now time for Argentina. Gravel, it's going to be in the dry, but as you can see, they've got the headlights on. It's getting a little bit dark.
Oh yeah, so that's another condition we've got now, nighttime, running with those lamp pods in the front. Tricky to see, you know, it's tricky to see those rocks now, tricky to see the line. Another narrow stage here. These drivers are going to really have to trust their instincts and how finely tuned their reactions are, but also how precise they are with the steering it, because, you know, if you hit one of those rocks, it will spin you around.
I think anyone that was questioning me when I said I would not go round this stage even as a passenger, would you go round here? Absolutely terrifying. There we go. It must be great to go and watch at a stage like this, though.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere,
Oh, no! Joona Pankkonen, our leader, has just had a bit of a crash there. He's 3 seconds ahead of Dave Marshall, but Dave Marshall also struggling as well. So the two leaders now running into problems. don't forget the top 3 after the next stage are going to go through. So the cumulative time at the moment puts Joona Pankinen ahead by 3 seconds. Dave Marshall is second, Robin Johnson is third, but only a second back, and with Robin Johnson leading, he could be doing enough here to take the overall lead.
Yeah, I mean, as we say, you know, it's consistency. You don't necessarily need to be winning every stage, but if you're up there in the times, it's enough to put you through, and it's more the momentum that he would have lost from touching that rock. You can see how much it slowed him down. He then doesn't carry as much power and as much speed through the next corners, which can be costly on the overall time.
We'll just go, of course, on board here with Dave Marshall. Oh no, a little bit more contact on one of the rocks there for Dave Marshall. It is very tricky, and a stage like this, Katie, very mentally draining, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was, you know, if I was playing this game, I haven't got the position that these guys have got on it. You know, the car would be beaten up, but it's not just that. It's also to do with how that reacts and how the punches that you can pick up or the damage to the suspension that you can get, because that's all the things that can happen in this game.
And you can just see using one hand at times there, no shoes. It's but you can just see the concentration and how little steering input they're putting in at times and how they have to use the handbrake. It's textbareback stuff, isn't it?
I think my favourite thing about this is, you know, they've all got the Sparko gloves on or the Stan 21 gloves on, and then their bare feet is I wish I could drive my rally car barefoot. Brilliant.
I don't think you'd get past the scrutineers at the start of the weekend for that one. But here we go, Lucas Mattia. He's currently sitting 5th overall, is Lucas Mattia. Robin Johnson is 3rd overall. So this is important for the likes of Lucas Mattia, Paul Beggin with that 10-second penalty, and even Jose Rodriguez as well. They need to start having good stages now, because there's only one more after this before we go into the top 3 final shootout, which will crown our World Series Grand Final champion. Here's Joona Pankinen though, slowly recovering, was right down at the back of the field, now in 4th place.
I think this might be opening things up a little bit. You know, it's closing the gap certainly on those top 3 that we were speaking about earlier. As we say, we've got one more round to go before we get to the final, so we're going to be going to Monaco next, which I think will be even more challenging as a driver. You know, you've got the tyre choice. Do you pick the slick? Do you pick the studded? We saw a driver in the semi-final lead, one of the Finnish guys. He was leading going into Monaco, and he was leading through the majority of the stage, but he took the slick tyre, everyone else took the studded, and it was snowier conditions than he expected, and he actually ended up going out on the last 200 metres. Yeah,
we'll definitely get more into that as we preview Monaco, but here we are, we're about halfway through the stage now. We're looking at Joona Pankinen, who's in pod number 1, all the way down to the left of the stage. The Finnish driver is currently in 4th place. He's leading overall at the moment, but we'll get that update straight away for you after stage number 3. Robin Johnson, let's go on board with him now, Katie. Through the rocks we go. We're getting towards the end of the stage, and at the moment it's looking good for Robin Johnson.
Yeah, they're just dancing with these cars, aren't they? I mean, you can see now we've got that cam on him. You can see the controls he's using, not touching the handbrake that much in these tight corners. He's using the weight transfer and the braking. Probably suggests he's got a lot of kind of weight on the rear brakes there. But he's able to just dance with it, throw it in. All these drivers are left foot braking as well. I don't know if in the audience you can see, but they're using their left foot on the brakes. That's because it's sequential gearbox, so they're not needing the clutch to go up through those gears. So it is literally just a case of dancing. You know, you can see these videos on YouTube of rally drivers' feet, and they look crazy, but it's all about the balance and the weight transfer. But Joona Pankinen down in 3rd place now. Lucas Mattia up in 2nd. So it really is opening up that field a little bit, I think.
Yeah, rally drivers make good wedding partners, don't they? Good plus ones. Joona Pankinen still 3rd place. We're getting towards the end. Paul Beggin running into further problems, it seems, in 6th place, unfortunately. Dave Marshall just off the back of the top 4 as well in 5th place. Not so far back, still within touching distance, but the top 4 very close together. We're looking at Joona Pankinen at the moment, who's trying to close in on Lucas Mattia. Robin Johnson is in the lead of this stage, but that doesn't mean he'll be leading overall. We'll give you the results as soon as we can at the end of stage number 3. We go on board with Robin Johnson now. Only one sector of this stage to go, Katie.
Yeah, coming into the final, you can see on the dots on the side, that's kind of our map, and you can see the gaps now opening up. There's quite a big gap between 4th and 5th that we've got there. 1st, 2nd and 3rd are all still pretty close, so I'd say timing-wise it's going to be tight.
Yeah, Robin Johnson then, only a few more corners to go now, just this final section to go. Once you get into the final section like this and you think you've had a good stage, it's very hard not to make a mistake sometimes. You just got to try and keep calm, keep composed and get to the end. At the moment, Robin Johnson doing a good job of that, but we're now looking at Joona Pankinen, who was leading going into this stage by 3 seconds, just clips one of the rocks there, but he gets away with that no problem, as now just a couple of corners to go. It's Johnson leading, Mattia, who needs a good stage, he's in 5th at the moment, and he needs to gain 10 seconds on Robin Johnson to try and get into the top 3, or the likes of Dave Marshall or Una Pankinen. So this is a much needed result for him. Across the line we go, up round the final corner now. We're on board with Robin Johnson. There's the end of the stage, and a round of applause please. Robin Johnson it is who takes the win at the end of that stage. Brilliant stuff from him, and Andrew is already getting ready to speak to him. Fantastic performance there, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I mean, you can see the difference, you know, how sideways some of the drivers are compared to how straight some of the drivers are. It's a driving style thing, not necessarily faster, not necessarily slower, but it's about a confidence thing. The way that they can throw it around between those rocks is incredible. So we'll go to Andrew now to hear a bit more.
4 seconds out of everybody there for Robin. It was a long stage, so 4 seconds out of Lucas. You can see he's taken 8 seconds out of Una. That's a great performance, Robin. Are you happy?
Yeah, really happy. After 2 a bit shaky stages, I feel really good to put in a good one.
That's such a tricky stage, so much to hit. Are you happy with your performance? You said you still hit a few things.
Yeah, I still hit a few things. I mean, it's impossible to not hit things in this stage.
What are you thinking now are your chances? I mean, where's that going to put you on the leaderboard? Potentially right up close to the top.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close between me and Jona. But yeah, it looks good for the last stage.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Andrew. And, well, there we go. A much-needed good result there for Robin Johnson.
Yeah, he's so cool, so calm, so collected, isn't he? I think, you know, if you were at the end of a rally stage and you saw a driver like that, you'd think he's got it together. There's no shouting, there's no swearing at the co-driver. I suppose they don't have the opportunity in this game, but really, really calm. He's in the zone. You can tell he's in the flow, as we call it. It's where you want to be as a driver.
He could take it out on Andrew over there,
well.
but no one's decided to do that yet, shall I say. Literally, the results are being updated live for us here, the cumulative times, and we'll read those out before we go into the final stage, because at the end of the final stage, the top 3 go into the final stage, and the bottom 3 get eliminated. For that final stage number 5, we're going to reset the times back to 0. The top 3 are going to go off 1 at a time, so we'll know exactly what the time is to beat each time a driver goes off.
Yeah, I think a little bit more pressure with that. You know, your game is being played up there. Everyone's watching just you. You're not switching. You can't hide behind it. But, I mean, these guys have got their headphones on. I don't think they can even hear us. So they're completely in their own zone, aren't they?
If you want to win a World Series Grand Final, that's exactly what you've got to do. But let's talk about the next stage, Monaco. You said that's the one you're perhaps looking forward to the most. Tell us why that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's a rally of attrition, Monte Carlo. Coming up in a couple of weeks, you always see, you know, even if the stage is closed and you're driving through in road mode, you see cars off because it's just so treacherous. You've got a weather crew, but, you know, the conditions, the black ice that freezes in those French mountains is absolutely incredible. Also very difficult to predict. You might leave service in the morning with the wrong tyre choice in and have to deal with it through the rest of the day in changing conditions. And that's also what these guys have got to deal with. You know, they haven't really known the condition, well, they haven't known at all the conditions that the stage will be in before they got here today. So they're making their tyre setups. They're kind of speaking between the teams if they can. I can see that going on to our right at the minute. But they're speaking between the other drivers, trying to see what the best setup choice would be, and then going with that. But we did see some mistakes. This stage was run in the semi and quarterfinals, and we actually did see some mistakes with tyre choice on here, which is a problem in Monaco.
It is, and we've just had the results updated, so I'm going to bring those to you now. So in pod number 2, Robin Johnson is now the leader on 14 minutes and 51 seconds. Una Pankinen, who is to his left in pod number 1, he's in second place, 14 minutes and 54 seconds. And the third and final spot, holding the third and final spot at the moment for the final stage, is Lucas Mattia. 15 minutes and 4 seconds. Brilliant stuff from him. However, less than a second behind him, 0.8 of a second behind him, is Dave Marshall, the British driver, in pod number 5. Seriously close. And then, a further 400ths behind that, I think it is Jose Rodriguez. So it's extremely close. There's only 0.8 of a second between third and fifth. 3 drivers, only one of them would essentially go through 0.8. So it's down to fractions of a second here.
I mean, it's all going to be to play for, isn't it? They've got experience with these stages. They will be feeling confident, and I'm sure that they're going to have already made up their mind, you know, about tyre setup and choices. But it is in the back of your head, isn't it? What are the other drivers going to do? Because sometimes taking the dodgy option or the risk will actually pay off.
And there you can see the confirmation of the standings for you. Just look at that. Mattia, look how close that is. 8/10 back to Dave Marshall, and then a further 400ths back from that. It is Jose Rodriguez. Paul Beggin, unfortunately, who picked up a penalty in stage number 1 off the back of the field there. So he's just going to be hoping to get a stage win, I think, to take home with him, I'm sure. But Monaco, really, it splits into 2 halves, doesn't it? The stage itself. It's,
yeah.
We start off in the tarmac and then it goes to the ice.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the conditions that we get set as well. Has there been snow? Is it cold? Is the water or the rain turned into ice? Is it frozen on the road? Can you see the black tarmac? But also, is it at night? Because then it's even more difficult to see and to notice that black ice, or is it just tarmac? Is there grip? But also, this is one of with the fresh snow, you can actually find a bit of grip in it. If you're using studded tyres, you can look for the fresh snow tracks and you can get in them, and actually it will give you a little bit more grip than the tarmac will.
Well, we're actually going to be going off in sunset, so what are your thoughts now you know that?
I think sunset is difficult to drive in. I'm sure everyone in the room would agree. It's difficult to drive in any conditions, let alone on ice and snow. So, I hope they've got their sunglasses with them.
Well, to remind you all, this stage is crucial because at the end of this, the top 3 will go through to the final stage. As I said, we'll reset the clock for that, and then the top 3 will go off one at a time. So we'll be able to watch all 3 runs in full, which will be fantastic to see. And at the end of the final run, we'll crown our grand finals champion. And leading it is going to be Robin Johnson from Pankinen, Mattia, Marshall, Rodriguez and Beggin. There is a look at the stage for you. Prix de l'Art and Monte Carlo. Huge elevation change, as we said. It is quite a long stage as well. So this is going to be a very, very interesting one indeed. We're expecting around 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So a lot of chances for people like Jose Rodriguez or Paul Beggin or even Dave Marshall to make up time and catch the leaders, but also a lot of time for the likes of Robin Johnson to lose time. I mean, he has, if we look at Robin Johnson, he has 13 seconds over, 14 seconds make that over 4th place. So he has 14 seconds he could lose, but it's easy to lose even more than that round Monaco.
Yeah, I mean, long stage, 6.11 miles, sorry. So that's, it's a long stage. So these drivers, they've got time to make it up. A lot of them will be going into it thankful for every metre they've got, because that's the chance to make up a second.
Yep, so Johnson it is who is our leader. He's in pod 2. Pod number 1, that is Pankinen, he's second. Then it's Mattia in 3rd place. Marshall, Rodriguez and Beggin. Don't forget, 3rd to 5th place. Mattia, Marshall and Rodriguez are split by just 0.8 of a second. Here we go then. We're looking at Una Pankinen in the red car at the moment, and now we go on board with Lucas Mattia. He holds the 3rd and final spot at the moment, Katie, but he's only got it by a few tenths of a second. Here we can see the first part of the Monte Carlo stage. Tarmac, it's only going to get harder from here though as we hit the ice.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to start going up into the mountains a bit further. It just gradually, the grip changes as you go through. You go icy, less grip obviously, and then you go into the snow. So, I mean, drivers, this is at the minute, predictable conditions is tarmac. They'll kind of be pushing as much as they can before they get to those tricky conditions.
We have to talk about tyre wear because that can come into play in this stage, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you pick the studded tyre option, then driving on tarmac like that isn't brilliant for studded tyres. You can find that before you even get to the snowy sections, the studs are completely worn down or they've been ripped out completely. So then you're just almost dealing with a slip again.
So what we found in the quarterfinals was some drivers pulled away at the start but then dropped right off at the end. It seemed like we had the field spread apart at the start and then closed right back up again at the end.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, we had that Finnish driver that took the slip option.
Yeah.
He was really fast on this section, was leading the whole way and then lost it in the last 200 metres because it literally looked like, when you take your car out in a snowy lane, it's not, it's not brilliant grip, and it looked like that on the game as well.
Yeah, so it looks like the fact that all the drivers are still together, I don't think anyone has gone with that option. The fact that it didn't work in the quarterfinals, I think means that no one's going to go for that option in this one. So we think that they're all on the same tyre. Dave Marshall is leading the way at the moment. He's in 4th. He only needs to find a few tenths, less than a second, and he will get into the top 3. So brilliant stuff here from Dave Marshall. Una Pankinen in 2nd, Jose Rodriguez in 3rd, Robin Johnson in 4th place, and then we've got Lucas Mattia, who was in 5th, and he now jumps up to 4th.
Yeah, and with the Polo, you can see this time, last time we were with the R2 in Monaco, so you're getting, front-wheel drive car on ice, not fun really. You get a lot of understeer. Here they've got, everything is a bit more developed. You've got the suspension, you've got the brakes, you've also got the power, so it will be easy. I would say from the driver's point of view, it will be easier. tyre selection will be, you know, the same deal as with the R2, but I mean, I think from a handling point of view, more predictable and almost less work as a driver.
Yeah, well, we're looking at Joona Pankinen at the moment, who is currently second overall. Dave Marshall sits in 4th place at the moment, overall that is, but he's leading this stage. So at the moment, we'd say he's doing enough to get into that top 3. All you have to do in this is get in the top 3 overall. Leading overall at the moment is Robin Johnson, but he's down in 4th place. He has got a lead of 3 seconds, so perhaps he's got just enough of a gap at the moment to hold on. He's got 14 seconds over dropping out of the top 3, so he can avoid to lose a little bit of time in this stage, Robin Johnson, and he's down in 5th place at the moment. Joona Pankinen, who is 2nd overall, is 2nd in this stage. Dave Marshall, who is 4th overall, is 1st in the stage, and Lucas Mattia, who is 3rd overall, is 4th in this stage at the moment. It's going to come down to the final section of the stage. Very shortly we're going to hit the ice though, Katie.
Yeah, you can see already patches of it coming in. This is probably the most unsettling kind of conditions as a driver, where you've got tarmac, go around the corner, there's an ice patch, obviously that's slippery, you know, anybody can see that, especially in these conditions, you know, getting dark. That's what I mentioned about earlier, you get black ice in France in these mountains. It's not a nice experience if you hit that unexpected or you don't see it, because sometimes it can just look like wet tarmac.
Yes, it can indeed. Well, we're on board once again with Dave Marshall. We're over halfway through this stage now. Dave Marshall, he's going to be very, very nervous on home soil. We got 2nd in the rallycross earlier. He'll be desperate to get through into that top 3. He only needs to find 0.8 of a second over Lucas Mattia to do it. And at the moment, you'd say he is doing enough. So Dave Marshall on fire at the moment. But Joona Pankinen will perhaps feel, as a Finnish driver, feel a little bit more comfortable when we hit the ice a little bit later on. He might start to get quicker then. Likewise, the likes of Robin Johnson, the Swedish driver as well. He's in 4th place at the moment. Jose Rodriguez has come all the way from Costa Rica to compete here. He is 3rd, and he is only a few tenths away from getting into the top 3 as well. It's impossible to call at this stage who's going to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's put my money on, to be fair. He's trained me, you know, all the time. But in the last quarter now, I'd say, I think Joona Pankinen, you know, he's there, he's in 2nd, he's consistent, isn't he?
Yes, he is indeed, and Joona Pankinen, we're on board with him. Here we are. This is where it starts to get very tricky, Katie, doesn't it? Now we're on the ice.
Yeah, going through into the snowy sections. You'll be looking here, you'll be looking for the little piles of fresh snow. You can see them using every inch. That's what you don't want. You don't want that ice. I mean, you can see Dave Marshall, that's called a Scandinavian flick there, that technique. Throwing it one way and then using the momentum of that slide to knock it back the other way. One of the best feelings in a rally car, perfectly demonstrated. It's a masterclass we're watching now from Dave Marshall.
Well, I'm sure Dave Marshall will get a big cheer around the stand here if he can take the win in this stage, because that should mean he will go through, he'll qualify into the top 3, and he'll go through into the final stage, which will be coming up straight away. So do stick around with us for that, whether you're watching live or around the stage. Dave Marshall is only 0.8 back from a top 3 overall, and he's leading this stage at the moment. But Lucas Mattia now starting to climb up the order. Robin Johnson and Jose Rodriguez swapping places as well. It was Johnson, Pankinen and Mattia, the top 3 going into this stage. Who's going to be the top 3 leading it? Because Dave Marshall may disturb those top 3s. Absolutely on fire at the moment. Robin Johnson swapping places with Jose Rodriguez. Jose Rodriguez, I don't know if he's done enough in 5th place to go through here. Joona Pankinen will have definitely done enough, I'm sure, unless he has a major incident to get into that top 3. Likewise, Lucas Mattia. I think the only change to the top 3 we're going to see is Dave Marshall going into the top 3 perhaps. Let's have a look then as we come round the final 2 corners. It's Marshall versus Mattia. One of those is going to miss out. Johnson and Pankinen should go through, but with Mattia in 4th and Marshall in the lead, I think they may swap for 3rd and 4th places overall, and that would be a devastating end for Mattia to the grand final. Just a couple of corners left now. Dave Marshall, has he done enough? He's coming up to the final corner. He's still in the lead at the moment and going across the line. I think he's just done enough. Dave Marshall takes the win. Huge cheers from the British crowd. Dave Marshall goes through, and that puts him into the top 3.
Wow. That turned it round, didn't it? That was an absolutely phenomenal race. You can see the British crowd here absolutely loving it. We'll go to Andrew with Dave.
Dave, another great run for you. That was super close, 1.2 seconds in it from the looks of things, and then Mattia and Johnson Rodriguez a little bit further back. Are you happy?
At a time when you don't want to see Ari Vatanen walk past, I tell you that much. Yeah, chuffed a bit with that. Bit of shocked with that, actually. But yeah, linked it up and yeah, chuffed a bit.
Is that going to be enough to see through the top 3?
I hope so. I haven't done the maths, but I hope so.
We'll head back to the desk then, let them do the maths, I guess.
Well,
you any good with maths?
No, I was hoping Andrew would worked it out, and I hope he's carrying a calculator with him, but he wasn't. They're literally coming in right ahead of us. I can see Unipankinen's time is in. Dave Marshall's overall time is in as well. Dave Marshall was 10 seconds back from Unipankinen at the end. Lucas Mattia is next to come in. So it was Unipankinen with a 21 minute 39 seconds. Robin Johnson 21 minute 38 seconds. Dave Marshall 21 49 seconds. Lucas Mattia 21 52 seconds. And I believe that is your top three. Jose Rodriguez 21 and 53. And Paul Beggin, of course, was 40 seconds back going into that stage. So we can confirm that the top three going into the grand final, which will be coming up straight away, is Unipankinen with 21 and 39 seconds. Robin Johnson 21 and 38 seconds. So he is the leader. And Dave Marshall takes the third and final place. Round of applause, please. Your top three: Robin Johnson, Unipankinen, and Dave Marshall. Well, we have to say, brilliant performances as well. They've done absolutely brilliant to get here. Can we please give a round of applause? Fourth place is Lucas Mattia. Fifth place, Jose Rodriguez. And sixth, Paul Beggin. They're in the top 6 in the world, and they will all be leaving with Giorgio Piola watches as well. They'll get the shift chronograph watches. But there we go. The final stage coming up next.
Yeah, I mean, now it's all to play for, really. It is going to be flat out from all of the drivers. One stage, 4.28 miles, so it's not a particularly long stage. They're going to have to be on it from the start here, I think. Going over to Rally Australia, Rockton Plains, it's a gravel and tarmac stage. And looking at it earlier, you know, it's very narrow on the tarmac sections. They have to be very neat and very tidy, quite straight with the car. There's bridges, and there's joins back onto gravel, and it's that kind of rocky red kind of gravel. So it's a really interesting surface as well.
It's very, very fast as well, isn't it? So it's going to be very quick. So make sure you stay with us because it's coming up next. Robin Johnson, though, he is in pod number 2, and he is the overall leader at the end of 4 stages. Unipankinen, who is in pod number 1, second. But going off first in this final stage will be Dave Marshall in pod number 5. So just to remind you, now we are at the end of 4 stages. Sadly, we have to say goodbye to Lucas Mattia, Jose Rodriguez, and Paul Beggin. The top 3 are now going to all set a time round Rockton Plains. They'll go one at a time. So Dave Marshall will go first. Once his stage has been completed, then we will watch Unipankinen's stage. And once his has been completed, Robin Johnson, will know what the time is to beat for Unipankinen, and he will go off last. There's a lot of handshakes going on here. That is unfortunately the competition done for some drivers, but I'm sure they're all going to stick around and watch what should be a fantastic final stage.
Yeah, I mean, iconic Rally Australia, based around Coffs Harbour, forest tracks. A lot of it actually is, you know, sort of through a rainforest, and it's famous for having this low light. It's, you know, almost strobing in your eyes to see through that in the forest. It can be quite disorientating as a driver, so it'll be interesting, again, what conditions we're going to have here. But I would predict sunny. You know, it's Australia.
Yeah, well, I can actually tell you the conditions right now, actually, because they have just come in to us as well. So it's going to be, of course, gravel, tarmac. We're going to be in the day and in dry conditions as well. So good visibility for them. Dry conditions as well. It means they're going to be flat out, big jumps perhaps as well. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I mean, I was watching earlier some of the drivers practicing, and it was sort of over 100 kilometers an hour in most places. It is flying. It's almost, when you're watching it on the screen, it'll be really cool to watch it on this big screen, because when you're watching it, it's actually hard to keep up. Your eyes, you get a bit confused. You're almost a corner behind the drivers. Their reactions are so fast, but then they do it a lot. They have a lot of practice on these play seats.
Yeah, they do indeed. They would have been practicing for this Rockton Plains. They haven't known the stages for a long time, so they haven't had a huge amount of time to prepare for that stage alone. But, you know, tell us the preparation that has to go in when you're getting ready to go on a stage. I'm sure you use stuff like Dirt Rally to prepare yourself as well. How do you use that to get ready for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of drivers use it. But it's interesting because you can qualify here with a controller, you can qualify with the play seat and the setup, and you can qualify even playing on your PC with the keyboard. I mean, I think to get to this level, these guys are going to have the full kits at home.
Well, we're going to just let the drivers have a little breather. Of course, this is big for them. This is the World Series Grand Final. This is their one shot at it. All the times are now reset. They all set their stage time, and the person who is fastest, they'll go one at a time, as we said as well, and whoever is fastest wins the Grand Final. So although they've done a lot of hard work, that essentially goes to one side now. So while they're having a breather, we're actually going to go over to Andrew Coley.
Yeah, I'm here with Lucas Mattia, who's made the final for both Rallycross and Rally. Unfortunately, Lucas, you've been knocked out. 4th place, so close.
Yeah, it was so close, but it is Rallycross, you know, so anything can happen. And but sorry, is it rally? And yeah, Dave Marshall did a great job because that last stage in Monte Carlo, so spot on. I couldn't keep pace with him, so fair play to him. And I made a mistake in speeding, so that cost me, but it's only my mistake. So.
Have you enjoyed the experience of coming here to the Autosport Show? We've got this great crowd for you guys to compete in front of, an amazing stage here.
Yeah, of course, the audience is really great, and the people here, organizers, everything is spot on, everything is great, so I'm really enjoying it.
And are we going to see you come back next year? You're going to get practicing again? You know, you've got unfinished business now. You made the final. We need to take a trophy home.
Yeah, of course, you will see me next year. I will be here, of course.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Cheers, Andrew. Well, we're almost ready to go. Well done, Lucas Mattia. Brilliant stuff. Qualified for the final, as we said, in both Rallycross and Rally. And we've got currently 2 minutes to go. We hear Dave Marshall's called his setup hopeful thinking for this one. Does that make you nervous, Katie?
No, do you know what? I like an underdog. That's pretty cool. You know, Dave Marshall's he's not in a team here. He's kind of racing as an individual. We did actually see him take 2nd place, though, in the Rallycross this morning. He had a good run, consistent. Similar to what we saw here, you know. He took consistent times through here, and that's what it's about. Remember, it's not about positions. It's the cumulative time that got them through. So a good run from him.
I imagine it's helped, hasn't it, for the guys who did compete earlier this morning, the likes of Lucas Mattia and Dave Marshall, to have the experience of competing on a stage, because it's completely different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in any kind of form of motorsport, seat time is what is really valuable. You know, if you're out on the track, you're practicing, it's amazing. Here for these guys, the more they practice, the better they feel. That's their kind of home, that's this play seat, and, you know, the game around them is their safety bubble in that pod. So, yeah, I mean, for them, practicing this morning is seat time at the end of the day. It's kind of an extra, although it's Rallycross cars and Rallycross circuit, probably the rally feels like a bit of a luxury because they haven't got to worry about other people bumping them off on the other you know, tactics that they use with joker laps and things like that.
We're about a minute away, everyone, from getting the World Series Grand Final, the final stage, which is going to decide our champion for the Dirt Rally 2.0 World Series Grand Final underway. To remind you, the top 3 drivers who have qualified through, they're going to go off one at a time. So Dave Marshall will set a time first, as he finished 3rd overall in the first 4 stages. Una Pankinen will then go next and see if he can beat it, and then having the privilege of going last will be Robin Jonsson. So I can see Dave Marshall. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to grab a very quick word with him before he goes out to see how he is feeling. There it is. Look, hopeful thinking. There we go.
Thinking.
Have you ever had a setup called that?
I don't think so. Well, no. Maybe. I'm not sure my engineers log it, so it might have been hopeful thinking.
There we go. Maybe, but you never knew about it. There we go. Dave Marshall is getting ready. Of course, this is a big moment for these guys. As we said, the other 2 finalists are Una Pankinen and Robin Jonsson, who are in pod number 1 and pod number 2 as well. So what is the final thoughts, Katie, when you're lined up there at the start of a stage, getting ready to go? You can see the marshal there about to wave you off. What's going through your mind?
Do you know what? I think every drive is different. Some like to get really angry and aggressive. You know, I saw some this morning with some of the French Rallycross drivers. They were going through that. They were pumping themselves up. They were hitting the steering wheel. Others are really calm, actually. So it's personal. For me, I like to just stay calm, stay cool, have a chat with my co-driver and get in the zone.
Well, we're going to be going to Australia for this one then. As you can see, 4.28 miles. You can just look at that stage, look at the layout of it. It's fast, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many corners, and if they are, they're fast and they're flowing. Narrow stage again, though.
Right, there we go. Let's give him a big round of applause. And Dave Marshall is about to set off. He's one of the top 3 finalists in the World Series Grand Final. The British driver will be about to go off. No spare tyre either as well, so if they crash, then that is it. They are out. So Dave Marshall then goes across the bridge and gets us underway here. He is going to set the benchmark time for Robin Jonsson and Una Pankinen to beat. So ignore Robin Jonsson and Una Pankinen up to the top right of your screen. They're not going to be going out until Dave Marshall has completed the stage. And so far, Katie, I'd say that's so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really sensible decision from him, not taking the extra spare. Extra spare is another 25 kilos weight in the back of the car. That's just slowing you down. So I think if it got to the point where he got a puncher and he needed a spare, he's already lost too much time. These guys are on it. It's going to be that tight. If you get a puncher, you're out of the runnings.
Yeah, it's a very good point, isn't it? Of course, what do you want to carry a spare for and carry that extra weight? So
that
great
was
insight
fine
from Katie.
line there, taking those poles out. I mean, Oh yeah, and neat onto that bridge. Those bridges I was talking about earlier. You have to be thinking through that. You don't want to end up in the water.
No, it's great stuff. It's got to be. How do you approach a stage like this, Katie? It's a different approach now.
Yeah, I mean this is technical here. You have to remember he's on a tarmac section, but he's on gravel tyres here. So that means they're those knobbly tyres. So that you're going to be sliding a lot. You know, you want a slick tarmac on abrasive tarmac like that, hot tarmac like that as well. Gravel tyres heat up a lot faster. But actually, I saw when in practice.
Oh no! Dave Marshall up and over. Oh no, and that's it over. Surely, Dave Marshall sadly clipping the edge of the grass bank there, and that sent him up and over. He's going to keep going, but well, it was impressive how he kept it on all four wheels in the end, but unfortunately Dave Marshall's chances of winning this World Series Grand Final have, I think, fallen apart there. Well, you can't say he didn't give it a go. You've got to take big risks in an event like this. He did. It didn't pay off, but on another day doing that line may have seen him take the fastest time.
I mean, yeah, he fully sent it into those last couple of corners, though. He's angry driving now, you can see. But also, you know, comebacks stronger than the setback. It is, you know, a stage where things like that can happen. There's a lot going on. Who's to say that won't happen to the other competitors? So you have to remain calm, you have to remain composed. And, you know, he didn't lose that much time, surely. He spun it, but he didn't roll it. And, yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to wait for the other competitors to come through. But he did get back on it pretty quickly, I thought.
This is what it is about going first in an event like this. This is why we let the guys who finished at the top at the end of the four stages go last, because Dave Marshall, he doesn't really have a time to beat. He just has to try and go as quick as possible. That can make you push too hard sometimes when you don't know what time you're chasing. And now Joona Pankinen and Robin Jonsson will be much more relaxed than they were around 3 or 4 minutes ago, with Dave Marshall essentially having set a time now that as long as they keep it on all four wheels all the way around the stage, they should beat. So Dave Marshall, sadly, he's going to come through the final few corners. He will be third at least, but of course Joona Pankinen and Robin Jonsson, you never know what could happen to them either.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's picked up any his cosmetic damage, but no punctures, no real damage from that. So, you know, he's carrying speed through the rest of the stage. He's given himself a fair shot. You have to forget things like that. I just had a glance over to him. He looks calm, he looks cool. He's focused, you know, you can see it in his eyes, but I'm sure that the other drivers will be feeling a little bit more relaxed now going into their finals as well.
They will indeed, and Dave Marshall now just a couple of corners remaining. Here he comes up to the end of the stage now. Over the crest we go, through the right. Dave Marshall, give him a round of applause, everyone. He completes his time. He sets the benchmark time of a 3:26. So that is the time to beat. Dave, he'll be third at best in the World Series Grand Final. Andrew, will go straight down to him now for some live reaction.
Dave, mega start to that stage. Huge push from you. Big cuts at the start and then just a little mistake in the middle there.
Yeah, I think it just showed that was the stage I practiced least. Wasn't expecting to get to this stage, so to be fair, up to the other guys now, but we're looking forward to watching them do the stages.
With the little half roll and reverse, I know you will have lost some time. If they get a perfect time, they're going to beat you, but they've still got to get a perfect time. You've tried quite hard.
Yeah, other than the roll, I think there's probably quite a few seconds in there still. Sort of a 3:15 would be a decent pace, so I expect to see the guys pushing just over 10s, I would say so.
All right, well done. There's waiting time now. See where you finish.
Yeah, let's see how it's done.
Here we go then.
Dave, he's being too harsh on himself. He's top 3 in the World Series Grand Final. Well done to him. 2 more to go then. Now, he was second at the end of the first 4 stages. Joona Pankinen, he is in pod number 1 from Finland. He will be going next. Dirt 4 champion. Give him a round of applause, everyone. He is getting ready to set off next. Just getting himself... giving us a cheer as well. Hasn't had a lot of time to practice recently, as he said. He's had to cut it down to about 5 hours a week because he's joined the military service in Finland.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's good though, isn't it? Having other things to think about, not thinking about it too much, not getting absorbed in the competition. So you go in with a fresh kind of look on it and you think, oh well, nothing to lose. But yeah, it's definitely a crowd pleaser, I think.
Now, to most people, maybe Rockton Plains was just a name that they just heard before we did that stage. Now they've had a look at it. What would you say are the trickiest aspects of that stage, having had the first watch of Dave Marshall go around?
I think it's definitely the rhythm changes. You know, as a driver, you like something that's flowing, you like something that's consistent, but they've got so many things to think about here. The changes in their driving style that they have to adopt from gravel to tarmac like that. Then they've got to be so neat over those narrow benches. They can't take cuts because there's banks on the inside in some places, but then in some places, races, they can just knock one of those white poles over on that they've learned that they can take out without a penalty, and then that's it. You know, they've got an extra maybe half a second through that straighter line corner. So it's about knowing the stage, I think, on this one, definitely.
Well, final couple of minutes. We're into a 2-minute countdown at the moment. Now, Joona Pankinen and Robin Johnson have history because last time they did a championship like this, Joona Pankinen won and Robin Johnson was second. And Robin Johnson, when I was speaking to him earlier, even looked over at Joona and said, I've got to beat him this time. He cannot beat me again.
Yeah, I mean, I asked them if they were friends earlier, and they said when they come here, they're friends. But I think maybe when they're online competing, that, you know, kind of, well, they say keep your enemies close, don't they? But no, I'm sure it's only friendly competition that they've got between them here.
Have you ever had like a rival in racing that maybe he's had one over you, and then how much is it you want to get one over them back again?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I think tyre choice is probably the number one thing. Nowadays, you take a bit of black tape and you put it over the mark on the tyre so nobody can see what tyre you're on.
Or you call your setup hopeful thinking, and no one knows what's going on there then, don't they? It could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure that I'd like to know the name of his setup. I don't think it will hopeful thinking. Maybe it will be similar to what he won at last year. Bit of good luck.
Well, I think, as Andrew's just actually pointed out to us, we got some eyes on the floor there from Andrew Coley. He's not taking a spare tyre either for this one.
Yeah, I think it's a sensible decision, to be honest with you. That extra weight is not worth it, you know. If you get a puncher, pretty much if you're in the fight for a win, you're going to have lost it anyway. So there's no point in stopping and changing that other side.
Yeah, there might be some people who play the game a little bit and go, well, I would have never afforded that, but that's the level we're at here. It's a World Series Grand Final at stake, and about to go off is Joona Pankinen as he sets up. One more round of applause. Here he goes then, he sets off for his stage. Joona Pankinen, a 3-minute 26.225 to beat across the bridge. He goes. Joona Pankinen, if he has a clean run, he should beat Dave Marshall. However, he has to set a very good time to give Robin Johnson something to chase down.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Marshall earlier was saying a 3:15 would be a respectable time here. He was on a 3:26, so that's 11 seconds off that pace. I think we can expect the guys to be on the pace, though. You know, this is the top of the top here, the people that are going to be setting the world records.
I think either at the end of this, Robin Johnson is going to be very relaxed should Joona Pankinen have made a mistake, or very, very nervous should he go and set something like a 3:15.
Yeah, I mean, they're listening to the pace notes from Phil Mills. They've got the best co-driver on it. Going through this tarmac section, little bits of gravel, you have to be neat coming out of that corner. That was perfect there, using every inch of the road that you can get away with without hitting one of those poles on the entrance to the bridge there. Right lines onto these crests, you can see them using every inch of the road. But on the tarmac, on the gravel tyres, so it does slide a little bit more. You have to be that little bit more careful and try and create that straight line through the tarmac. You feel a lot more better and a lot more comfortable when you get back on the gravel with those gravel tyres on, though.
Well, this is it. If you're just joining us, this is the World Series Grand Final. The first of the top 3 drivers has set a time. That's Dave Marshall, 3:26. He can now do no more but watch on. Joona Pankinen, who is second at the end of 4 stages, will now set his time. Can he beat a 3:26.225? Of course, with that half roll, Dave Marshall would expect that we would expect that a clean stage should put Joona Pankinen in the provisional lead of the World Series Grand Final. At the end of this, we will have crowned our champion once Robin Johnson goes out. So Robin Johnson, who goes next, currently watches on as Joona Pankinen getting it sideways, as Katie said there, very smooth. Sliding there from the drivers going through the curves.
Yeah, you can see the banks on the inside there. You don't want to be touching there. And there's some little ditches and gullies in some places as well. So they are using every inch of the road. On the grass there, you can see with that left-hand wheel. That's fine. They don't mind that. But, you know, if there's rocks on there, that's a gamble to be taking as well. They don't want to punch her.
Yeah, Joona Pankinen then. It looks so good so far. We're just approaching 3/4 complete. I haven't seen any major mistakes, Katie. It looks like I don't even know if I've seen any fractional mistakes at the moment. It looks like this has been a pretty nailed-on stage.
Yeah, no split times either, so we're going to have to wait to the finish line to see that overall time.
Oh no, he's crashed! Joona Pankinen has gone into the fence, up the bank and into the fence. Just as we were saying, it looked like no mistakes were made. Joona Pankinen has made one, and that will relax Robin Johnson now. So this is the pressure these guys are under. It's the World Series Grand Final at stake, and putting that pressure on these drivers, for some of them, is just edging out these small mistakes, Katie.
Yeah, I was speaking to Andrew about this earlier. You can use those railings at the side to kind of bounce you like you would a snowbank, carry that bit of speed, but they can suck you in, and it looked like he lost time through there. That didn't go to his advantage through there.
Well, just a few corners remaining. The Finnish driver, Joona Pankinen, then just coming through the final few corners. Oh no, he's gone off the bank just a little bit. Again, recovers it slightly, but that would have been another two seconds I'd say he could have lost there. Joona Pankinen round the final corner now. Up the crest he goes through the right. Give him a round of applause. Joona Pankinen, 3:14. he becomes the new provisional leader of the World Series Grand Final, and we're going to get straight down then to Andrew Coley for some reaction.
Una, a great run, a couple of tiny mistakes in there. I mean, David made a mistake. Did you feel you needed to push that hard?
No, but I want the win, so I have to push. Not happy with the mistakes I made there, but it will be tight, I think, with Zombie.
He's going to have to try really hard, isn't he?
Yeah, I gave my everything to this, but it was not ideal run, but we'll have to wait.
We will have to wait indeed. So a big push from Una P. Remember, the reigning champion on Dirt 4. Has he done enough to win Dirt Point 2 on the rally side, or are we going to see it taken away on this last run? We've got one run to go.
Well, as he said, Una Pankinen was the champion on Dirt 4. Reigning, the vice champion was Robin Jonsson, and he goes next. So we've had two drivers go out. We've had both of them make mistakes. Of course, Dave Marshall's substantially a little bit more a bigger mistake in his run where he almost rolled the car. What did you make of Una Pankinen's mistake there, going up the bank into the fence? How much time do you reckon he would have lost?
Yeah,
there?
I mean, it's all about the momentum you can carry through a mistake like that. You know, sometimes what looks like a mistake to a rally driver is actually planned, and it wasn't a mistake. You know, we saw with the cutting earlier. Some people can think, oh no, he's off the road, but actually it's the straight line. It's a similar thing here with these rails. You know, you can bounce off it. I was having this exact conversation with Andrew earlier. You can bounce off them, and you can use them like you would a snowbank to lean on to carry a bit of speed. They got that netting around them, but also if you're carrying too much speed, then it does go wrong. But it's all about those margins that you take. I mean, I don't think it was too detrimental to his time. He was, 3:14. He was 12 seconds faster than Dave, and that's quite a substantial amount through that stage. I mean, what were we looking at? 4.28 miles, I think. So yeah, I mean, there's a gap there definitely. I think he can feel like he's given it everything. As he said, he has given it everything. Small mistakes like that, but I don't think it was too costly in the time.
Well, Robin Jonsson is about to go next for everyone watching in, and for those of you around the stage, he's the last driver to go off. He has a 3-minute 14.669 to beat. If he doesn't beat that, then Una Pankinen is the World Series Grand Final champion. If he does beat that, then he is the World Series Grand Final champion. No restarts, no reruns. It is just one run. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty brutal, isn't it? I have to say, we have been harsh on them today.
Well, we got to. This is the grand finals, isn't it? How's he going to be feeling now? If you're sat where Robin Jonsson is, you've had two drivers go out. Yes, they've both made mistakes. Does that make you more nervous? Does that make you potentially come off the gas a little bit and push less, or do you have to just treat it as if you've not seen anyone set a time?
I think it's definitely, it boosts your confidence. I think he'll be going thinking, I've got to give it 100%, but I maybe haven't got to give it 110% here. I don't have to take the unnecessary risk. It'll be interesting to see his tactic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him getting started on this stage today.
Well, this is going to be the last run then of the World Series Grand Final, and Andrew Coley just saying to us, no spare tyre either for Robin Jonsson, which means they lose 25 kilos. Give him a round of applause before he gets going. Robin Jonsson, this is the final stage of the Dirt Rally 2.0 World Series Grand Final. We're away. Robin Jonsson there in the blue car. He's in rig number 2. Over the bridge we go. 3-minute 14.669 it is to beat. Can he do it? We saw a big mistake from Dave Marshall, nearly rolling the car. We saw Una Pankinen going up the banking and into the barriers. If Robin Jonsson has a clean run, theoretically, Katie, he should be champion.
Yeah, theoretically, but I don't think anything theoretical happens in rally, does it? It is hardcore, especially this stage. There's so much going on. There's so many different things for a driver to think about. You have to know it so well. It's the fine line. It's those cuts that you can take. You don't mind about those cosmetic signs, but you don't want to hit anything substantial.
If we had a heart rate monitor now on Robin Jonsson, it would be through the roof. I think he knows everyone around the arena is watching him. For those of you online, thank you for tuning in. Robin Jonsson now trying to crown himself the World Series Grand Final champion, Dirt Rally 2.0. At the moment, the provisional champion is Una Pankinen with that 3-minute 14.669. Provisionally, Dave Marshall is second with a 3-minute 26.225. Where will Robin Jonsson finish? $2,500 are up for grabs, and Robin Jonsson giving it absolutely everything here, sliding through the banking. And Robin Jonsson at the moment is looking good so far, but we've still got over half the stage remaining, Katie.
Yeah, you can see he's a Swedish driver though. He is using that Scandinavian flip, isn't he? You know, they've got this amazing driving style out there. They all grow up in this kind of snowy lanes and they, you know, lappy tyres, they're used to it. But running wide on that bank there, I don't think that will be costly though. He didn't lose any time through there, but that was really on the edge.
Having watched now all of this World Series, I think that's something he definitely did mean, and he's done in practice, isn't it? Just using the bank, and like you were saying earlier, just to give you a little bit more momentum.
Yeah, he's taken a big cut through there as well. He's really does know this stage well. You can see that, but a lot of dust. I wouldn't like to be the car behind him for sure.
Yeah, of course, he would not want to be standing anywhere near the side of the stage with you. Robin Jönsson, he's over halfway through, and at the moment he's made no mistakes, so it's looking good. Robin Jönsson at the moment, is he on track to crown himself the World Series Grand Final champion, I wonder? 3 minute 14.669 to beat from Joona Pankinen. Robin Jönsson, the last driver we're going to see go. So at the end of this final section of the stage, we're going to know who is our Grand Final champion, and at the moment it's looking good.
Yeah, it's looking good, but you know, the mistakes we saw last time were in the last quarter as well. I think it might get a little bit more technical. Maybe the drivers are thinking I'm on the home stretch now, and that's when mistakes can happen.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. Once you get to the last stretch, it gets even harder not to make mistakes, doesn't it? But so far, Robin clips the barrier there, just about gets it facing the right way again. Robin Jönsson definitely got away with that one. He has to get through these next few corners cleanly now. No mistakes can be allowed from Robin Jönsson, otherwise he will not be crowned the champion. 3 minute 14.669 is the time to beat. Robin Jönsson give it absolutely everything, flirting with disaster there as he clipped the barriers, but so far he looks on track to potentially do it. Here he comes up the banking through the final corner. Give him a round of applause as he comes across the line. There he goes. Has he done it? Yes, no, I don't think he has. 3 minute 15. He's not done it. Joona Pankinen is the world champion. I don't believe it. Oh, Robin Jönsson there. I don't know where the mistakes were made, but a 3 minute 15 is not enough. And Joona Pankinen, despite that mistake, despite going into the fence,
tears from Joona Pankinen. He is so happy with that win. He has reclaimed his title from last year. He was the Dirt 4 champion. He's come back and he's taken it again this year.
Joona Pankinen in tears. Give him a round of applause. Joona Pankinen is the Dirt Rally 2.0 World Series Grand Final champion. Get onto the stage, Joona. Congratulations. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I think we're going to go down to Andrew Coley in just a second, who is with Robin Jönsson.
Robin, unlucky. It was so close. We really thought you'd done enough there, but Joona's just held on despite those mistakes.
Yeah, I've been to the world twice, so that's why I think. But I'm still happy to be second.
Second's an incredible result against these guys. Yeah, these are the best drivers in the world. You must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, of course I am. Yeah.
Back next year, try and take the win?
Yeah, surely.
Unlucky, but well done. P2's fantastic. A round of applause, please, guys. Second place, Robin Jönsson. We can get back to us, guys.
Yeah,
with Joona already. Sorry, managed to grab me. Joona, you're looking really emotional there. That was super close. What does this mean to you?
It's so important. It's everything I love to do. It's just, I'm so happy.
You look incredible. This is incredible, guys. It's a real emotion from a guy who's just won the World Series the second year in a row. Come on, give him a big hand. Joona Pankinen, Dirt 4 World Champion, goes on the following year to hold on to his title in Dirt 2.0. What a drive. That's incredible. So, Joona, you must have thought that you hadn't quite done enough with those two little mistakes. You've had to wait, the emotion coming out now. What a relief.
Yeah, it's a very interesting system that we do one by one, the final, because, like, I don't know. I think it's the factor that makes me cry here, because it's like I had to wait that 3 minutes, 4 minutes at least to know did I win or not. And I kind of felt like Zombie could have won it. But I don't know.
And a word for your competitor here. This was super close between them. I mean, he was a tough guy to beat.
Absolutely, one of the best for sure. Absolutely.
So next year, then you got to take it to him.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, Robin, congratulating Joona P here. Fantastic, really emotional scenes. Joona P holds on to that world title. Our P3 man here as well, Dave Marshall, racing at home. You must be happy with that. I mean, Joona's done a brilliant job though, hasn't he?
I am chuffed. I mean, look at the standard. Like, I said 6:15, he smashed 6:15. That's my PB. Still smashed it with mistakes. Like, the pace is outrageous. Like,
Brilliant, and great support from your, is it family over here, or is it's been cheering for you all week? There they are over there, look. Who is it's been cheering for you?
Family, girlfriend's family, auntie and uncle. Yeah.
They haven't seen any of the show at all. They spent the entire day sat down here cheering for you, so congratulations.
No, we had all yesterday. It was all right, yeah.
All right, good stuff. Well, back to you guys. An emotional win for Joona Pankkonen.
Andrew there, just catching up with all three drivers, thanks to him. Wow, the emotion I think just shows, all the hard work they put in, 4 months to get to this point, of course, and devastating for Robin Johnson. I really thought he had done it, but Joona Pankkonen there, despite that mistake, I think that shows how hard he pushed there. And maybe I wouldn't like to criticise Robin Johnson at all because of, second is a brilliant result, but when you've seen two people make mistakes, it's like we talked about before, isn't it? Do you reckon that maybe just led him to be a little bit complacent in places?
Well, I mean, it's so hard to say, the margin, Dave's saying that was his PB, and that's exactly what Robin's done, so, you can't ask for much faster than that. The pace between all of them was pretty fast. But I think we'll have the trophies here. We'll be able to have a look at that as well.
Can I just say it was 0.8 of a second, 0.8 between Joona Pankkonen and Robin Johnson. That's how close it was in the Dirt Rally 2.0 World Series Grand Final. We're getting ready to do the trophies, but before we do, Katie, just give us your reactions to what we've just seen with the top three there.
I just can't believe how close it was. I mean, they are the top of the sport. We knew that, but to see it today, to see the raw emotion of esports live on the stage is an absolutely incredible thing to witness. We saw the quarter and semi-finals, but we weren't with them. We were broadcasting from Silverstone. They were, in Sweden, Finland, Australia, Japan, from all over the world, and here they are in one place. The emotions come together, the players have come together, and I think it's been a fantastic event.
And I think for anyone that thinks, esports, it's just playing a game. Look at the emotion. Look how much it means to him. That's what you'd see when we see the World Rally Championship crowned, the World Rally Champion. It's the same emotions and same reactions, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is it. This is an accessible sport. This is motorsport.
I think we're going to go to Andrew Coley then, who is with our top three as we give out the trophies.
Quick podium shot for these three, really. I mean, they're our top three in Dirt 2.0 World Series. A brilliant performance by all of them. Guys, hold those trophies up. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause, please, for your top three here at the Autosport Show. A brilliant performance by them all, and couldn't have been closer. So roll on next year and another close competition. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
The top three there, the trophies handed out. That's pretty much all from us, but before we close the show, if you've liked what you've seen today and you want to get involved in esports or have a practice yourself, maybe you can be here next year. Thrustmaster are doing an offer from the 9th of January to the 14th of January, so it's running till the 14th. You can see all the kit you can get there, 10% off at box.co.uk. We've been using the Thrustmaster kit here this weekend. Katie, you're a driver yourself. What do you make of all the kit?
I need to get one.
10% off?
Yeah, I'm going to be on that. I love a discount code. Yeah, I need to get one. I think loads of drivers use it for training. There is nothing closer to the sport than this, so it's so cool. What an accessible way of motorsport.
And roll on next year, I guess, isn't it? If that was this year, what about next year? 0.8 between the top two.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fantastic stuff. Well, on behalf of Andrew Coley, myself, and Katie as well, thank you very much for tuning in to the Dirt Rally 2.0 World Series Grand Final. I hope you've enjoyed all the action. 0.8 it was between the top two at the end. Make sure you keep an eye on the social media and the website to see how you can get involved next year. But on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for watching. To those of you around the arena and to those of you tuning in at home. For now, it's goodbye.